No, it's because I set my settings for my webcam, but I didn't change. Evidently it just took everything off my settings. So we are live. I'm gonna go check everything as we get started here. Okay. Oh, looks like everything's going. So I'm gonna make sure I don't have any crazy feedback here on any of this. I think I have everything muted. Okay. Well, good. Well, I hope everyone is has waited 6 minutes for Dina to fix her microphone and her and all of that. So welcome to a DSAIA Hangout. We've only done a couple of these, but they're fun, and I think we should do more of them. But tonight we have a guest who, Jennifer Smolka, Dr. Jennifer Smolka, who actually presented at our conference just a couple of couple weeks ago, and she's all geared up for the 321 eConference. We're going to talk about all of that stuff tonight. But first, Jennifer, let's talk about you. I mean, you are a parent. How did you get into this? Because you have such a wide, I guess, breadth of experience. So tell us about yourself.
Well, first of all, I am the proud mom of not just one boy, but 4 boys. And yeah, 4 boys, and they range in age from a almost college senior to a 2nd grader. So I have 21, 19, both in college, and then I have a sophomore in high school and a 7-year-old. And it's our 7-year-old who was diagnosed at about 8 months with mosaic Down syndrome. And so before that, we had done a lot with dyslexia and some dysgraphia. And Dina, I lost your camera. I don't see you anymore.
No, I'm here. I just had to take a drink. No one wants to see me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
I'm good.
And, you know, we had done a lot of stuff with special education with the other boys in a couple of different ways. In my education background is I used to be a K-12 teacher, and then I went on to get a master's degree in computer education and cognitive systems, which our brain theory works and how we learn and how we can design learning to best meet the way our brains process information. And then my doctorate's in ed tech, also emphasizing distance ed. So I had gone off and done K-12 and then university work and built online programs, and then really got involved in the special needs population with my boys. And I really realized that I was lucky that I had this research background and this knowledge, because it made me feel more empowered to go in and down to special education services and going in an IEP meeting. And so many of my friends, even in our small town south of Dallas, they didn't have that. And so they felt like they couldn't stand up because they didn't know enough. And so what I'm looking at was how can you take and kind of combine multiple parts of your life. So I'm a teacher. Okay, I'm a researcher with distance ed, and then I've got a little guy with Down syndrome. And so that's really kind of how all of these threads have come together for us to take and it's our hope that you feel better about yourself, you feel more confident, and in that you become a better advocate. And so we've just been taking the theories and the strategies for distance ed.
All right, well, cool. Well, okay, so most of the people are going to know you by the 321 eLearning conference. And so the 321 eConference is coming up next week. So, I mean, I don't want to make you go through, you're like, oh, this is all the tracks, but
yeah. Well,
tell us about it.
Okay, so the 321 days of content with 21 content sessions a day for as little as $21. And so we basically have it set up where you have 3 different tracks a day that you can attend. And you can even looking at one particular thing that you need help with, and you can get just that one session. But you can also say, you know, I am at a point in my life right now where I need to get my teenager, you know, out of high school, and what options are there? We have a after high school. And maybe you're just beginning, and we have a track that's just that. It's in the beginning for diagnosis in early childhood. We also have a track about, and we even have one that are just kind of issues for adults in general. So you can look through our sessions and our schedule and think, wait a minute, I want to go to that track on Monday, and there's 7 sessions in that track. And so instead of just having to buy one session, you can actually buy the whole track. And so one session is $7.21, but if you buy the whole track, it's only $21. So there's definitely a good value in buying a content track. But maybe you say, you know what, there's something on Monday I want to go to, and there's some stuff on Tuesday I want to go to, and there's really some stuff on Wednesday. You have the opportunity to buy all of those tracks for only $75. And how do I get and attend at that set time? So you know that there's a session at 1 p.m. on Monday, but that's when my, you know, my boss has my weekly team meeting. Well, the great thing about our content is it's all recorded, and so you'll be able to access those sessions that you've purchased for 30 days after, after the eConference is over. So basically for all of April and May, you'll be able to log in, you'll have your own digital library of the sessions that you've purchased, and you can go through, listen to the recordings, see the handouts, and even ask questions in a contact form to the presenters.
Great. Wonderful. I know how hard it is because I've been on a couple of different conferences, online conferences, and it's great. And then all of a sudden someone calls and you're like, I got to take this call. I don't know what to, you know, but knowing that, I mean, even that you can drop in whenever you want to and that it'll be available later is kind of cool. I think that the neat thing about this is that it makes it, I mean, $21 for a day is just you know, it's an incredible small amount of money to access some of the things like you know, going to some of the larger conferences is hard for some families because they childcare and then all of the expense and travel.
Well, and when I first had left university administration and really tried to get on this path of looking at distance ed and advocacy and parents in special education, I actually went to a conference for a Down syndrome, and it was the International Mosaic Downs one, and it was in San Antonio, Texas. And so it was close to me. I could drive. I'm a road tripper. I don't know about you, Dina, but you know, Texas and the highway, I love it, you know. So I drove. I actually had some funding from my university at the time because I did a presentation, and it was still expensive, you know, and it was just me and Jared who went. And I really sat back and thought about those families that had to fly, and they flew 3 or 4 people because they couldn't leave the kids. And that's where you start to find that learning gets to be kind of cost prohibitive. And so even though it's, you know, $21 a day for a track, or, you know, $75 for the whole package now, you're not traveling anywhere. You don't have to go find a babysitter. You don't have to go and get a hotel room and a rental car, and all of that extra stuff is really just taken away. And it's great. You know, we have people that'll join them and they'll have them on their iPhones. You know, we have an app, a picture right now running with Beth Sullivan, and she's got her iPhone and she's on the go, and she was listening as she had to go do stuff. She could listen and participate even on the mobile devices, and she could go back and listen mobily. So it's not just sticking you know, and oh, I've got to be here behind it. You can take it and go with you.
Right. Exactly. Well, and I think it's the other thing that we as Down syndrome affiliates in action, of course, all of our members are all across the country, and some of them out of the country. And I don't know how even we could do board meetings if we didn't do virtual meetings. You know, we're not all in, you know, I always find that so funny because even some of our organizations, you know, contact me and say, you know, how are we, you know, some of our members are like 45 minutes away, and they don't, you know, it's Tuesday, the board meeting's Tuesday at 6, and how do we, Well, there's lots of options there. So I think that you've really hit upon this, I mean, this is such a something that I think we've tried, everyone's tried to make everything accessible online, but sometimes you just can't go.
Well, and it's interesting, and I have found such value in my two DSAIA conferences. My first one was last year, my second one was this year, and there's just never a question I will be there. I just want, I will, unless,
signing her up to life.
Now, I just get such great ideas and feedback, and my own perceptions of things can be pushed. I'm from, the rural western part of the United States. It can be a distance to go places. And I think about some of our DS affiliates that are the only one in the state. I've met twice, both last conference and this one with our gang out of Minnesota. One DSA in the whole state kind of thing.
Right.
And I know that that's hard to reach a whole state and have physical events. But what's really interesting is we were talking about this one of our sessions, somebody kind of raised their hand and said, you might think that it's really easy in Atlanta, when we've got several things, but the traffic in Atlanta can be horrendous. And so even though you might only live enough miles, to be there, it would take twice as long because of traffic and those types of things. So, it's not just for rural, it's not just for urban, it's for every different possibility of people. And it shouldn't replace your face-to-face events. It's not something that attending doing my learning through this conference is never going to replace me going to your conference. I still go to my own professional conferences. I do enjoy the face-to-face time, but that's not an option for everybody all the time. Right. And so this is really that piece of that. And then I think, and I think beyond just us here in the United States, we forget how blessed we are with the services and education that we receive. Right. Some of the most touching moments, and my 321 eLearning crew really knows. They'll go, Jennifer, you're crying now, aren't you? Because I'm a crier. But I'll get these messages from Bolivia and Colombia, and these countries, and people in India calling in and they are coming into our sessions, and they have no content. And we're in the middle of an afternoon session, and somebody had gotten up at 3 o'clock in the morning to come to a session. That was how much it meant to them to be able to do that. Yeah. So there really is, while we're definitely serving mostly, the United States and Canada and some of our other European countries, there is a big global push. We have a big initiative to find ways to get into countries that don't have resources. And so a couple of our initiatives this year and next year, we are working on other languages besides Spanish. We're looking at doing subtitles on our existing webinars so that we can start pushing those out, as well as bringing in and having a Spanish day, having a Portuguese day, having an Arab day, and really looking at bringing multiple languages in so that we're reaching out to as many people as we can.
And that's so, I think that, and we talked at length to the people with Down Syndrome International, and there is a real need for resources, and these organizations that are either starting or are existing in these in the countries around the world are really hungry for the type of knowledge that we just take for granted.
Right.
I get tons of requests from people, especially in Africa, Pakistan, places like that, where, and I send them whatever, because I'm just like, I'm just going to send you what I can, because it's so difficult for them to become members. But at the end of the day, they, any little bit of information that we might find, just, oh, that's just, something that, yeah, I can go find that, or I can watch this video, or I can talk to somebody else. They don't have that luxury.
No, they really don't. And, it's really funny. I have this great little app on my phone, and I was on it this weekend. And it's so that I can, if you're on my website and it says, live chat with us, it dings my phone kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And when I'm on there this weekend, it actually tells you and it shows you the flags of where people are. And it was amazing. I actually had to give it to my son, who's my geography guru, history guy, and go, okay, go look up these flags and tell me what countries they're from, you know? Because, you know, we had people, and I'm pulling it up right now just to see, you know, we've got somebody from, you know, that was one from this weekend. There's somebody from the Philippines on our website. You know, and so you've got that international push and bringing people together through languages, through content, and we know that our background and the people that we collaborate with have some great digital experience and some school building and corporate training backgrounds, and we want to apply that here. So we really want to continue to collaborate. You know, our phrase for the year, kind of my mental phrase, is creative collaborations, you know, and finding ways that, hey, Dina, let's work on that thing together, you know.
Which we are doing a lot this month.
I know. So, you know, but we also want to do that with across the globe. So if you're out there and you're wondering, you've got a group and you want to figure out how to do this, you need to come talk to us. In fact, somebody from Charlotte contacted you guys, and you guys pushed her over to me, and I loved it. And so we want to help them, you know, kind of like services and consulting, to actually help these other groups figure out what are some different ways to best meet your local needs. And then how can you harness the power of that local need to support, you know, in circles kind of outside of where you are.
Right, exactly. So, you know, as we're talking about this, because, I mean, there was, we do have some collaborations coming up. So we have a webinar that you and I, past this, we're gonna work on a webinar for later this month. It's actually the 31st at noon Central Time, which will actually be kind of, you know, hey, how can you be productive? Because I have a lot of tools, you have a lot of tools, and why would, and someone asked the other day, like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And I showed them something, they were like, why don't you share that information? I'm like, that's right. So we do have that coming up. And so if you want to register for that, if you're on the call tonight, if you watch the video later, then, you know, it's on our website. So it's in upcoming events. So we're going to really talk about being productive, like, you know, how to work smarter, not harder, that kind of deal.
And it takes off a little bit of our my presentation that we did at the conference. We're going to use some of those same ideas, and we did a survey in there, and it was really cool. There were people that didn't know that you could use Google and your Google Forms to do easy, quick surveys and get information quick, and have it come in as a graph. They were like, oh my gosh, there's a graph of data. But we really saw that the room was really pretty full. And, you know, there was like 40% of the people needed help managing people. They need to be productive managing their volunteers. They need to be productive with managing the board or collaborating with the board, and then managing their own staff and who gets what job done. And so I know you've got a couple of great boards and great kind of workflow management. I've got some ideas, and then we can kind of share those with people, because we want to use technology to help you get the job done.
Exactly. And, you know, and I mean, I one of the first things that I think is one of the easiest things that I use is just a way to track my time, because what is harder for you know, a DS employer or board president or something like that than finding out how much time they're spending, you know, working on their walk, or how much time they're spending on administration. And so you know, there's just all kinds of little, almost, I mean, most of them are free, right? You know?
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, I want to know that one for me. I want that time one, because there are times where, you know, my partner in crime in both marriage and business, you know, is my husband. And there'll be days that, you know, he has the real job, you know, kind of thing. And he comes back, and I work from home. I have an office, but I do work from home. And he's like, okay, so what did you get done today? And sometimes I'll give him this whole list, and he's like, that's all you did? And, you know, and so you kind of want to be able to say, wait a minute, how long does it take me to do things? Because you need to figure out, where can you outsource? You know, I'm spending so much time doing this piece. If I just could have someone help me, I could be released to do something else. Well,
and exactly, because I look at it like how much, you know, when when I do our 990, I have to allocate how much time that I spend on each different program. And so for me, I can basically look at a couple of weeks and tell you a big snapshot of what I'm doing from day to day. So, and that kind of stuff is also easy, you know, I mean, like I said, it's free. The thing I'm going to tell people about is free. So tease. Well, let's talk about what you've learned in the past couple of years, especially through putting on the eConference. I mean, what are you taking away now that from, you know, what are the things that you went, oh wow, if you know what I know now versus what I knew 2 or 3 years ago?
You know, that's a great question, first of all, and I think that I spent
I was a journalism major at one point in my life, so I'm trying.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Well, you know, I think we just need to make a board, Dina, of all the jobs you and I have had, because we keep saying something and you're like, I used to do that. Well, yeah, I used to do that kind of thing. You know, I did a lot in my previous lives in nonprofit management. I've been a president of an education foundation where, you know, we raise money for grants for our local school district. I've run, you know, fundraisers, raised money for church groups. So I've done a lot of that kind of stuff. And I think one of the biggest things that I've learned, at least in doing this project, is that the great thing about just-in-time learning is that it's just in time. You know, you need it, you want it. I'm gonna, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can't sleep because I'm really worried about the IEP meeting tomorrow. But wait a minute, 321 eLearning has these great modules. I'm gonna go read them tomorrow morning. You know, it's just in time, which is great. The flip side of that is just in time means you might not be able to plan because you just don't know how many people are gonna show till it's just in time, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's been a little bit, that's just something to kind of figure out is, you know, how many people are really going to show up for an event. And, you know, and I think this is the same thing we do sometimes with our live events is it a free event? Because, you know, it still costs money to put on things.
Right.
And then what we've found sometimes is, you know, we did a free event with some great, this is that creative collaboration piece with the Down Syndrome Association of Hamilton, Ontario, had an event where they were bringing in Dr. David Stein from Boston Children's Hospital for a webinar on behavior. Awesome topic, 2-hour webinar, and she offered it for free. It was going to, you know, and Boston was going to do the webinar and all this other stuff. Well, their Adobe Connect, which is one of our cool techie tools, right, has a limit of how many people can be in the room. And most of your technology will have some kind of a limit somewhere.
Right.
And theirs was a limit of 200 people. Well, you know, Ingrid didn't have any thought that she'd hit 200, right? Well, she put it out there and somebody picked it up. I still, Dina, have not figured out where. She had 900 RSVPs.
Oh my God, it wasn't me. I'm just, even if it was, I'm just going to say it wasn't me.
I don't know. But all I got to say is I wanted to know, how'd you get to 900? Because that's a great number. So they were able to, Ingrid picked up the phone and because she knew that basically, you know, I owed her some. She's helped so much with getting our Spanish content and she presents both in English and Spanish. She's going to go, I know who to call. So she called me. We worked out a collaboration. We've got it set up. Boston had actually called around and for this 2-hour event, the local people wanted to charge them $4,000 for the technology to host this webinar. Well, I've got some access to technologies. And one of the things that I want us to be able to try and do with this DS groups is to do some crowdsourcing to say, you know, there are some, you know, you want to do a big 1,000 room webinar. Well, that's great, but we don't all need to have one. Let's have one that we can all share,
Right.
you know, and be able to kind of play into it and be able to use it on a broader spectrum. So,
Exactly.
even with you know, over 900 RSVPs, we had about a 50% attendance rate. We had over 400 attend live, and the webinar, which is on our site, it's downloadable free under webinars, has been downloaded like over and watched over 600 times. And so it was a really great piece. But again, we had no idea how many people were going to show up to a given event. You either have, I don't know how many people are here watching tonight. You know?
Well, you know, who knows? Because we have 6. That I'm looking at 6, but you know, who knows who's watching?
Right, it's on the air,
on our
so who
side or whatever. So we don't know.
know.
But we have the same kind of issue with our webinars. So we may have 50 people register for a webinar and 25 show up.
Exactly.
So yeah, so you don't know. Of course, our attendees know we're recording it. We're going to make it available, but you never know what's going to happen with a live event. Just like last month, GoToWebinar didn't perform for us, so we weren't able to record it. And that's just that, it's just something that happens. And it's technology, and you live by technology, you die by technology. And so when they had a snafu, we're sorry, so that's why you attend live. But there's always
and I actually have a backup plan for you.
Good. Right.
I'll tell you a backup plan, okay? So I'm working on a couple of those. I've got some backups, especially for when you have your big ones. If it's me that's coming and it doesn't record, you and I are going to say, okay, let's do it again next week for a recording, and we'll do it. But there are some people that you've paid for them to come in, and they can't do it again. And so I've got a couple of ideas that I can share, with you, and maybe in our productivity, and we can try out some different things with that. I think the other biggest thing that I've learned over the last couple of years is that backup really is that, the plan A, B, C, D always kind of rules. I mean, even just tonight, you and I kind of say, come hang out with the tech geeky queen, right? Well, we thought it was my computer because, I'm going and she can't hear me. So I'm moving from one computer to the other computer, getting it locked in, because that's my backup plan. And by the way, I had the iPad over here just in case. So I already had plans A, B, and C.
Well, you see me looking over, I'm looking at my other screen. So.
Yeah, so you're the same way. I've got two screens. See, we're sisters. We just, didn't know it. So having those backup plans is really important. And then, being flexible, is really just something I think has been of a great value. We've had a couple of our presenters this session that just had some horrible health crises come up. In fact, we had one presenter end up last year in emergency surgery the morning of her. So, that happens, and you just be flexible and you just go with it, and you're able to do it. This year had somebody who was really upset, had a family member who had gotten sick and she couldn't present. And I just, I kind of handled it with grace and just sent her prayers and blessings. And do you know that 30 minutes later, somebody that I had been trying to reach for like over, a month, emailed me, is there any chance I could still present for you? There you go. So I was able to write her back and say, I already filled your slot. And so, it just made everybody feel better, kind of thing. So, being flexible. And then the other thing is, and I want to say this with a sense of adventure. Don't be afraid to take a risk. Don't be afraid to say something. Hey, we're going to try it. Let's try it. It may work. It may not work. If I had listened to a couple of people 3 years ago when I said, hey, let's do an eConference on World Down Syndrome Day. Oh, it's only 5 months away. Oh, we can do it. Why not? People told us that we were crazy. And here we are, into year 3 and doing good things and making good collaborations happen. And sometimes you just kind of have to try it. Talked to a couple of DS groups at the conference with you guys. And we've got some plans. Let's try something. Let's do something and see what people think about it. Let's do a live webinar one night. Let's do a recording and push it out. You don't have to do it all. We don't have to say, oh, we're going to do a complete online thing. Do something small, try it out, get feedback, and then do it, change it up a little bit and try it again. It's kind of a discovery design method, of putting something out there and seeing if it works, and then being able to say, you know what, that didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. Let's try it. Let's take it back and do something a little different.
And I just talked to a guy from who works with Virtual Edge Institute. So I've actually talked to him because that being on, of course, being a member of different organizations. I'm a member of different organizations because I wear a lot of different hats. But one of the things that we wanted to do was find a way to bring content to the people who can't come, because there are always. You think we have 82 members, And out of those 82 members, you know, we have 60 groups there. Some of them are members, some of them are not. But even out of those, you have some people that bring 5 or 6 people, but you have some that only can have 1 or 2 because, you know, maybe they're small and the rest of their board members are, you know, can't come. They can't, you know, somebody's pregnant, somebody has babysitting issues or childcare issues and they can't leave. Somebody can't get off work to go. I mean, there's a myriad of issues. So how, you know, and it's, we're not taking the place of being at the conference because there's no way to, to do that. There's no way to replicate that. But how can we make sure, you know, how can we give those people who can't make the conference a little more value for their membership dollars? So, you know, I mean, I have some calls set up with him for the next few weeks. So hopefully we'll have some options for our members that are for our, you know, attendees as well who can't actually make the conference. And like I said, it's no substitute for coming. We definitely don't want to do that, but we want to try to, you know, take advantage of some of the great content that we have. I mean, we're, you know, bringing speakers here that are fabulous. Right,
they are, and that's the same conversation that I had with our friends in the Minnesota group, because of their great conferences that they have. We're gonna try and work with them with a couple of options of how do you record some sessions live, maybe not having them interactive live, you know, but just be able to record the sessions that are going on in the conference room so that they have those and then what they can do with them. And then after you talk to Virtual Edge, you're going to come talk to me and we can talk through it and see what the good options are.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like I love to talk to those people that have, you know, all the bells and whistles and it costs this much money and all the stuff, because then you get all the possibilities. Then you bring it back and go, okay, this is what I used to do when I went to DSAIA before I was, you know, you just ran the local. I was like, come back and go, that group is so big and they did this. How can I make this work in my area?
That's exactly it. Well, and you know, our sessions, and you and I talked about this the other day, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do online conferences, and I've done them in all these different ways, but there's this one particular platform that I know of that's being used, and it's a great thing, and I know an organization that I consulted with and helped them getting going, but you know, for $25,000 for a single day, you know, now when you compare that to the cost of a hotel rooms and all the meeting spaces and all the meals, there's a good, I mean, it's probably, you know, a good balance. But the thing that we need to think about is, you know, we may not have all the bells and whistles right now. We've got what you need. You can search your content. You can watch the recordings. You can interact. We've even got a virtual exhibit hall this year that you've sent out your virtual booth that's got some multimedia in it, and you can actually write Dina a question and we'll send it off to her. We've got some of those things that we're building, but we're not spending $25,000 for one day or $75,000, because what happens is that ends up getting passed down to the families. And so, you know, we don't want you to have to spend $100 and something to come for one day. We want you to spend $21 and come for a track.
So for those that are out there and listening, I think this is probably the part you've heard me and Jennifer talk all about conference stuff and all that technology. What is your new favorite technology? What app are you using? What technology are you using that you are just bubbling over? I know you got one because everyone has one.
Everyone has one. They do. And hey, you need to just let me know. I didn't quite realize, you know, this whole time zone thing is really, the time change is freaking me out. So if it starts to get too dark, I need to go turn some lights on. It's starting to get gray behind me. This is going to be a little bit more of a parent app than a board app. But if you're a parent out there and you're a parent with a teenager, let's just put it that way. I have an app on my phone through AT&T called Smart Limits. And I actually can control my son's cell phone from my cell phone. And I love it. I can block numbers. I can turn his phone off. So, you know, I used to have to say, give me your phone. No, put your phone right here. Give me your phone. And it was a big thing. Now I just go, pick off, and I walk away. you know. And so, I mean, I can, you know, I don't read the text, that's not there, but I can, if there's an issue with the phone, I can just cut it down, you know, and don't have to get into fights about it. Well, you can set text limits on it. You can set minutes on it. You can set time. He can't talk on it during the day at school. He has to shut it off by a certain time, and it just takes total care of it. And I think, you know, we've got some of our kids in the Down syndrome community who are old enough to maybe have a phone, but maybe need some of those kinds of limits. And so it is an AT&T product, and it's on my phone, and I do love it. The other app that I really love is Flipboard. Have you heard of that? Are you a Flipboard user?
I have heard of it, but no, I'm not using it.
So Flipboard is basically it's an aggregator, meaning it's pulling in data sources from streams of content, and it puts it into a board like a magazine. And you actually pulls in Twitter. So all those little bitty Twitter things that you're reading, if it's got a link in it or an image, it looks like a newspaper. Miss Journalism would love it. It actually makes your daily newspaper. So instead of reading Twitter just in a column down my phone, I get it on my iPad, I open up the magazine, and I'm like flipping pages, and it shows up like a newspaper.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
So those are the two that you like. So I'm actually, I was kind of thinking that we have, you know, a lot of stuff that, like, I mean, I'm sitting there in the Nissan dealership this morning, getting at 7:30 in the morning, getting the oil changed in my car, and then, you know, I'm like, oh, look, there's a new app that you can purchase, and it's like a remote start type of thing. But, you know, I mean, since I've had my new car, I haven't put in a remote start. In North Dakota, that's a big deal, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, yeah.
And so I'm sitting there looking at it thinking, wait, didn't my husband say that's what I was getting for my birthday last year? How did I miss that? So even the stuff like that. But I actually have, I'm in love with my Apple Watch.
Really?
You know what? I got it for Christmas, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is neat. The more that I have, you know, used it, in fact, the other day I couldn't find my phone, so I just went on my watch and did find my phone, and my phone's ringing, and I'm like, yay, thank you. And actually, one of the ladies in Charlotte at the hotel showed me how to do that on my watch, because
show me your watch. Show it. Let me see. Like, put up your wrist.
I don't have it. It's charging, because I use it all the time. So I took it off a little while ago to charge it. But, you know, it really is. And like even my my Couch to 5K app, you know, is on my watch. So you know, not every app works on your Apple Watch, but but the ones that do are so fantastic. So, you know, when I'm on the treadmill, it's registering my heartbeat. It knows, by the way, I want it to know that even when it thinks that that's not technically exercise, for me, it is. So like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure that I did that for 10 minutes. It's only given me 8. That's a jip.
Well, are they cute watches, or are they still pretty, like, technology looking? I like pretty watches, like jewelry looking watches.
Mine is rose gold. It's very pretty.
Oh.
And if you look at some of the pictures from the conference, you probably see me with my watch on. I actually have, it has different bands. So I actually have a gold chain band, but I was too lazy to put it on during the conference, but I love it. You know, it was one of the things that I was like, oh, that would be so cool. And my husband bought it for me. And at the end of the day, I was like, I mean, like, I come in there all the time and go, do you know what my watch will do? So I even have, so my new thing is that I have something called a Rennie, and I got it for Christmas too. And it is a kind of a Bluetooth speaker system, but yeah, so it sits in the living room. I think this has to do with you know, your phone was turned down and you didn't hear my message, or, you know, I don't know. I get a lot of these things from my husband. It's like, wouldn't you please be connected? And because I get so busy during the day. But the Rennie actually will Bluetooth with your phone. So what I found out what I could do was actually with my watch, I can play music. It goes to my phone and says, you know, I want to play Justin Timberlake. I don't know, it's just or whatever. And then the Rennie has the great speaker, and it's all over the house. And I would go through it. I would be wherever I wanted to be, and I could just say, play, you know, Maroon 5 or whatever, and it would come up on my watch because it's linked to my phone. The phone's linked to the Rennie, and then all of a sudden I have music all over my house. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with productivity, and that's why I brought that up, because it's just fun.
It's just fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I think some of the other apps that are out there right now are kind of like your exercise apps. And I think so many of us forget to take care of ourselves, you know, forget to eat healthy, to forget to drink enough water, exercise. So I've got, you know, I've been doing I'm not calling it the D word, you know, the DIET word. I don't use that word anymore. But in September, I really changed my food lifestyle. But it's been since September. And so it's been a long time, and it's definitely a lifetime change. But I love one of the apps that I have for it because it tells me exactly what I can order. So if I'm in the grocery store, I can pull it up, and what I'm, you know, oh wait, is this food weird? Oh yeah, let's do this one. So I love those kinds of things that are just right there. And then my son, I was on his computer. He's home from college for spring break, and had his computer up, and it was like the word was like the iPhone, but it was I procrastinate, and it was on his computer, and I was like, oh, do you use that? Because tell me about it, you know? And it's kind of like that task. Like me. It was that task management piece, you know? And so he's like, yeah, I used it in high school. And yeah, now let there be light. Thank God I texted downstairs and said, will someone please come turn my lights on?
Oh yeah, I know. I text downstairs and say dinner's ready.
Yeah, so there you go. Well, mine was come turn light on. Let there be light. But yeah, you know, I like that piece of being able to keep track of things. Check how much, you know, I'm a Yeti user. In fact, I sent you the picture, but we just got our decals in for our vinyl lettering with our 321s on them. And I drink water, and it helps you just kind of keep track of the water and like the exercise and those kinds of things. I think that, you know, all of us that are leading in our fields and out there and managing our kids and our spouses and our community and all of these things, we need to remember to take care of us. And so little things like that, you know, the little meditation apps that you have that come up that just give you a prayer or a thing to think about is just sometimes the good pieces to keep relaxation.
It's as easy to me. It's as simple as using like an AnyList app where I share the grocery list with my husband. So as he's at the store, bless his heart, because he goes to the store, as he's at the store and I go, oh, I forgot to tell him to get this. I can actually add it. It'll come up. And as he's marking off things, you know, I can see them being marked off. And so, but no, I mean, you know, little things that you think, you know, I mean, just being able to communicate immediately with somebody is such a big deal, because like I said, I just remember when I used to send him to the store with a list, you know, yeah, it would take him all day, and then but he would hate it. But now it's like, oh, everything's in categories. I know where they are in the store, you know. I mean, so he's all good. But it's little things that make life easy, and I think that we live. I mean, so for some people, they're just like, I hate technology. I hate it. You just have to embrace it, because it is here to stay. It's only going to make your life better. At some point, I think, you know, there are some things I'm going, do I really need that app? Maybe not, but it's cool. So
yeah, well, and I love being able to go into the apps and like list by last time used, so I could like delete the things, you know, that's taking up space. But okay, so I've got a question for you. What do you wish there was an app for, and in what you're doing, maybe within your leadership of the Down syndrome communities, those types of things, you know? Well, let's just put it this way: if we were to design a 321 eLearning app, you know, what would you want in it? What types of things would you want to see?
You know, I think the main thing is for us, it's, you know, we have the Find a Group map on our site. I would love to have an app that, you know, someone could go in and say, I'm looking for this organization in this area. But because to me that, or I wish we had an app that would allow them to do that, because that's one of the things that I think is really important when you're looking for services or resources. And it's not just, I mean, for me, I mean, I guess we're targeting, you know, groups, of course, and so we're offering our services to organizations. Well, you wouldn't believe the amount of parents that contact us. I'm a sister. I'm, you know, my grandmother is taking care of this. You know, it's that kind of stuff, and they need resources right away. And so we, of course, send them to other organizations. But the first thing we do is there a local group in your area? So I think if that was one thing, it would be some kind of resource for them to be able to find an organization, and with that organization, what kind of resources do they offer? It wouldn't be what we offer. It would be, I'm Designer Jeans of North Dakota. What resources do we have on our site or that we can put in?
So what would be really cool would be that if you can come in there and say, okay, so I live an hour south of Dallas. I'm an hour north of Waco. I'm 2.5 hours north of Austin. And so I'm in them, and there's the Fort Worth group. So I'm kind of in that place between several groups, right? But that app would be, I'm actually taking notes here, you know, because what would be great is if when you first came into the app, if I was able to say, I'm a parent, I have a 7-year-old, I have a boy, we have mosaic Down syndrome, and that it could, and if all of these groups within an X mile radius of this zip code, and it could tell me, this is the Fort Worth group, this is what they do, this is the Dallas group, this is the Hill Country group, these are what they're doing. And I don't even mind going to multiple groups kind of thing, because I'm kind of in that Y zone.
They have, like, what activities are coming up, what events do they have? Because maybe if you're so locked into one organization like you are, if you're in an area and you're right in the middle of it, it's easy for you to go to these things. But what if you are like where you are in this little, you know, area where you can go to different places, but what if, you know, how do you know? Like, I think that other groups should be able to say, you know, hey, we're having this great speaker, why wouldn't you go to that? I mean,
I've talked quite a few times, and the conflict has been, I'm close enough to the Austin group and I have my dad that lives down there. So for me to, you know, drive down after school, let the boys spend the night with granddad and grandma and go to something in Austin is not a big deal. You know, I already told you I like to drive. So, you know, you know what I think I'm going to do? Then you'll have to link to it, but I'm going to go write a blog post about this, and it'll be able to, and I'll send it to you, and then I don't know where you'll post it, that people could come and they could add in their comments, is if we were to create this kind of an app, what are things that parents would really want to see kind of, you know, at their fingertips, you know, and be able to put that in? Because wouldn't it be great if you could actually, if you signed up as an organization on that thing, that you could even say, send this alert to everybody within the state, and it could show up. Ooh, see what happens when you and I get together?
Oh, okay. So yeah. So okay.
The GEEK comes out, right?
It is bad. It is bad. We probably should not. I should not go down there in July and stay an extra day just to come see you. So we would probably like ruin the world.
I think you need to do for 2 days. That's what I think.
2 days. So I always do like a girls thing with my high school friends. How crazy is it that I'm still such good friends with people I went to high school with? But I don't know if you guys know, I'm actually from Texas. Well, kind of. Born in Texas, grew up in Oklahoma, moved back to Texas. So anyway, so when I fly into Dallas, I'm definitely visiting Jennifer next time. There's just no way. I'm just going to go to Waxahachie. That's what I'm doing.
There you go. Well, and just so you know, the whole high school friend thing, I have stayed in touch with my best friend from high school. She's lived in Mississippi for 19 years. And she has a son on the autism spectrum, and she's to the point where she thought about moving back to Plano, which is the north side of Dallas. But she sees everything that I've got going on down here, my small community. And in May, she's moving here. so that we can, and she can have that support system, and she's going to just live just in the one little town north. So we're going to be back within 15 minutes of each other. But yeah, high school friends are great.
They are. And so we're going to wrap it up, but number one, I just want everybody to know Jennifer and I are going to do the webinar, and that's coming up on the 31st. It's 12 noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And so we're really just going to just kind of, it'll be a really kind of a show and tell kind of thing. So, so the thing will be, if you have questions about specific issues that you're having, then please go ahead and email us or me at info@dsaia.org. Tell me what you're looking at, what issues you're having, so that
I love it. It's kind of like a Dear Abby, like send us the problem and let us help you solve it. We'll add those in. So Dear Abby,
I'm going to have so many windows up. It's going to be so funny because I'm going to be prepared for everything. Like, oh, I'm really not going to present on that, but somebody's going to come on and ask that question.
There you go.
And I'm going to bring that window up, so I'm not going to be searching for anything.
Well, and then you're with me at the 321 eConference on next Tuesday afternoon. I don't remember the exact time that you're at. It's in the afternoon. It's like 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah.
Eastern time.
Yeah.
So, and you're
Deborah Tomai and I are going to do, and you guys know, she's started Rio Grande Valley Down Syndrome Association. I was so lucky that she called me. Someone said, hey, call Dina and talk to DSAIA, and so now they're members. So it's incredible to have her talking about finding local support. So we'll be talking about what kind of groups you can start if you wanted to start a group, but just some challenges. Well, it's going to be very interactive, so it's going to be a big question and answer session at the end. So we're excited about doing it. And we're excited about sponsoring a room. Yay!
Yes. Woohoo!
So invoice me. I don't think you've invoiced me. Have you invoiced me?
I'll have to go look. That would be a good thing.
I'm not sure I've paid. I shouldn't say anything. Anyway, but thanks, Jennifer, so much for doing the Hangout with us. And
I'll hang out with you anytime. It's always a blast.
All right. Well, everyone have a wonderful evening, and then join me and Jennifer. Well, go to the 321 eConference. Where are they going? Give them the website.
321elearning.net.
There you go. And so if you're following us on Facebook or Twitter, you've probably seen the post. So we'll be posting a little bit more on.
Yeah, and definitely come find us. We're pushing out a bunch of stuff. You can find stuff in Twitter, 321 eLearning, and on Facebook, 321 eLearning. If you're a hashtag person, on Twitter right now, we're pushing out a lot of things, and people are starting to kind of talk about it. And it's, hashtag 321 EC16.
All right. Okay. So I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
I'll give you a break tomorrow. Anyway, thanks so much. Everyone have a wonderful evening.
All right. Bye, y'all.